turn on the dial, it's the top of the hour. Charles PR might bring the power. From Chicago to Green Bay, Philly to LA, they're the kings of the airwaves, paving the way. The guys cracking jokes, got you laughing out loud, hyping you up, never stuck in the crowd. With thick hot takes, they ignite the debate, lighting up the night, never showing up late.
Welcome back, Charles. Welcome, Jordan, to the show.
Hey, Jordan, how's it going? Thank
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And listen, dude, your story is fantastic. I couldn't be happier for just you in general. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a week.
When, dude, I don't even know. I don't even necessarily know where to begin. Regardless, after you paid for it and showed up, right? Did you show up in like a jacket and then take it off and run out, or were you just there as you are now and you're like, this is how it's happening, and everyone was like, yeah, this is how it's happening?
Yeah, no, so being Penn State fans and fourth generation Penn State alumni, we knew we were going to the USC game. Obviously, we were stoked that Big Ten football was coming to the West Coast, and we bought tickets about 2 weeks before the game. And I think when you buy tickets through a third-party vendor site, USC Athletics gets all your information. So the Sunday before the game, we got an email from USC Athletics that basically highlighted their game day experiences. And there was various different ones on there, like you could hang out on the field during the fourth quarter or take a photo with the USC song girls. And I kept scrolling down, and there was one that was run out with the USC Trojans football team. And it just clicked, and I was like, oh, holy shit, that would be absolutely hilarious if we did that in all Penn State attire. And so I was looking for terms and conditions or rules or somewhere saying that you had to be in USC attire, and there was nothing. And come Monday, I signed up for the experience, and all my friends, everyone, they were like, there's absolutely no way this is going to happen. Like, you have to wear USC clothes, and you have to rip off your USC clothes once you get onto the field. And I was like, no, I don't think so. It doesn't say anything. And
you would think that they would have that specifically written somewhere, yes.
You would think at what's considered by some to be a prestigious academic university that they may or may not have disclaimers associated with such. And so my wife and I, we were 100 or 1,000% expecting to show up and be denied. And so we got an email from USC's director of marketing for athletics on Saturday morning of game day saying, hey, meet us under the Coliseum torch at 11:30 before the game. And at that point, I'm like, worst case scenario, they're going to deny us and they're going to refund us our money and we'll go our separate ways. And so we got there, and they're like, Penn State hat, Penn State tank top, Penn State shorts, Penn State shoes, like the whole 9 yards. There was no question of who our allegiance was to. And so we get there and we check in, and it was probably just two students checking boxes, right? They looked at us awkwardly, but checked us in, and my wife and I look at each other. Nothing was just said to us. This may actually happen. And so the director of marketing came to pass out field passes and called our last name and looked at us again weird, but gave us our field passes. And at that point, we're like, holy shit, this is for real. This is going to happen. Nobody's stopping us, which is ridiculous. And so we got to hang on the field for 45 minutes before the game, and then you had to be back in the tunnel 25 minutes before kickoff. And when I got back in the tunnel, I was talking to the director of marketing for a minute or two, and I was like, have you guys ever had anyone from an opposing team sign up to participate in this experience? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, great, that makes it even more.
Now there's going to be some rule. When that video hit our group chat,
change the rules.
When that video hit our group chat, I was like, bro, we have to do this. I was like,
Yeah.
this has to be. I hope it becomes like some new Big Ten tradition, bro.
Well, Charles and I,
really
we're going to be
do.
doing the NFL. We're going to be doing this to the NFL draft in April in Green Bay. But yeah, we got to figure out another way to do it. Maybe an NFL football game. We'll figure something out.
Well, 1-800 rent an RV all the way the hell out there.
Rent an RV and have them.
Yeah, and so then like we're standing in the tunnel. I'm talking to a couple of USC fans that signed up for the experience, and they thought it was hilarious. But at the same time, they're like, "That's fine. We'll take your money as a university." And the Trojans are coming out, and I remember looking at my wife and saying, "These guys look like they want to punch us," and I absolutely do not want to get punched by any of these guys. And everything like. I was hyped to be in that moment. That's a pretty cool experience, regardless of what's going on. Like running onto the Coliseum field and just screaming, "We are Penn State," and being in the moment. And then that one, I specifically emailed the director of marketing from USC Athletics on Sunday afterwards, just saying, "Hey, thank you so much for the experience and your hospitality and just accommodating us, even though we were Penn State fans." And she responded on Tuesday morning saying, "Of course, you're more than welcome anytime." And that was at about 10 a.m. West Coast time. This thing went absolutely viral around noon. So I'm sure she had a complete shitstorm on her hands in the afternoon.
I love it.
And
I love it.
Well, all publicity's good publicity, but yeah.
And then come Tuesday night on USC's website, there's now rules and terms and conditions which state that you must be wearing USC attire.
Hey, see, someone has to break the mold in order for the mold to be redone, so that's fine.
That's the funniest part of the whole thing to me is the fact that now there's rules and terms and conditions associated with
all them
such.
smart people. You would have thought that somebody at some point in time would have.
No, I told Charles, I said, what you and your wife did is the greatest troll moment in the history of sports. There's no other thing. Now that nobody else can do it, you literally are going to be the only people that can do it because other schools are not going to allow that to happen. So you guys have this moment together with your school, with your team forever. Like they can't take it away. There's video out. There's obviously the podcast stuff. Like it's fantastic. I love it. This is what Charles and I do the show for.
Yeah, I mean they might as well put the Jordan Mott rule on their USC website at this point.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So, what are some of the conversations afterwards? After the video went viral, did old Richie Boy has he reached out at all about it? Has anybody from the Penn State football squad reached out?
Yeah. So Coach Franklin FaceTimed me on Wednesday morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Basically saying that he thought it was absolutely epic. Like it's funny. He was like, "I'm pretty busy in that moment, but I remember looking down the tunnel and seeing two Penn State fans, and I was like, what the hell are they doing there?" And we had a good conversation for 5 minutes or so, and it looks like Penn State's bringing us back for the whiteouts.
Oh, really?
We didn't necessarily have plans to get back there for that game, but obviously after everything's transpired, like we're going to take our 8-year-old daughter for the first time, and we're going to be able to hang out on the sidelines. It's going to be pretty epic.
Who are they playing for the whiteout game?
That's going to be Washington for the whiteout.
Oh, good. They can beat the Huskies. That's fine.
Yeah, that should be an ass kicking.
Yeah, I hope you just beat the piss out of them.
Yeah.
We're doing really bad this year. Anybody
That's
with
fine. It's
with
fine. I mean,
eyeballs.
sports is a weird thing like that. You can be at the top. Just look at what's happening with Alabama right now. If you want to take a prime example of what happens when you lose your head coach that you've had for 20 some years.
Yeah, first time going into November since 2008, 2009 that they had 2 losses on
2007. Yeah.
Crazy.
Wild. There was a stat out there with Nick Saban where he has more players drafted in the NFL than he has losses at Alabama.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it blew my damn. Yeah, I think he's got 51 total NFL drafts, and
yeah, right after they lost to Vandy, I was like, oh, that guy has a shit show on his hands going back to Tuscaloosa. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they had
I wonder if his address got leaked. That'd be
was his address got leaked? Not
No,
nearly as
God,
bad
no.
as the Detroit Lions head coach. The guy had to literally sell his house and buy a new one.
Yeah.
Dude, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. I love being a troll of a team and love making fun of a team, but don't want to attack a player or a person personally. I just don't understand what makes people want to do stupid stuff like that. But
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting world we live in, no doubt. I was telling people this week, if you don't have thick skin, you better not go viral in any means whatsoever
oh
because
yeah,
of all the keyboard warriors. There was a ton of comments about, oh, he should have been trolling the showers at Penn State. It's just crazy what people come up
Damn.
with.
dude,
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
that's doing a 180 the other way. I
Yeah.
don't even understand what makes you even think of
See,
that.
so in the 90s, there was this saying, and I live and die by this, right? And it's still partially true, but so like money allows you to be the asshole you were supposed to be or something along those lines, right? If you have, oh, I can smack you in the face and write you a check money, that's a different lifestyle. Now the internet allows people to achieve that level of idiocracy without the funding to back it up, and it's crazy the amount of people that just willingly scream some of the most random things I've
Oh
ever
yeah,
seen in my life.
what did we had a couple of videos go viral on YouTube, and then they ended up eventually getting taken down. One was like with Caitlin Clark and all the whole WNBA stuff that was going on, and then we had another guy that was part of a podcast group. He had one where he was Angel Reese, and he was missing all these baskets, and I think he had a TikTok that went viral like 15 million in one
Who's that
day.
comedian? We made a comedian.
Yeah, we made a comedian go
What's his
viral,
name
go
again
famous.
there? Oh God.
Oh,
No, the dude, the Matt Rife. You
oh,
pissed
Matt
off.
Rife.
There.
Yeah,
You
Matt
pissed-
Rife came after us.
He pissed off his groupies there.
Pissed
That
off
was-
all his groupies. I pissed off
Woo!
Taylor Swifties, and it's not even in a way that is mean or derogatory towards them at all. It's just you say one thing towards them and say, you know what, they would do this or they would do that. We get attacked
Well,
for it.
it seems like sports fans have the absolute most feelings all the time. And for some of the most hardened individuals out there, like for them to just get so violently angry over the tiniest of things. For example, you're just and what you had just mentioned there, Jordan, about it being skin and the amount of people coming at you with the shower comments.
Yeah, it's just keyboard warriors, right? People have such
absolutely.
easy access to it these days that they can go and say whatever they want and think that it has some impact on people when realistically you're the one that's looking stupid as hell by acting like you have power in that type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't
Like,
make
do you
any
feel-
sense to me. I'm honestly surprised our buddy Frank the Tank and Pat haven't reached out to you. We had Frank do some fantasy football stuff for us for the show. I'm surprised that Pat hasn't reached out to you. He's a good one for having trolls on and people that have
they
completely
end up at,
obliterated a sports program, as USC has pretty much done to themselves with their fourth loss.
Yeah, something like that.
Now, as a Penn State fan,
Yep.
to steer back towards football, looking forward, I'm looking at your schedule now. Really, the only game that kind of comes to mind that looks like, as long as game planning stays true, you have the Ohio State game coming up. Now,
Yep.
with what Oregon just recently did to Ohio State, I'm gonna be hand to God honest with you right now. Michigan football has been so terrible.
Yep.
It's been hard for me to watch. So, how do you feel with your chances against Ohio State this year? Because I would just really enjoy seeing y'all beating them like Oregon did.
Mercilessly.
I think we have a chance, but I'm also very careful as a Penn State fan. Like I'm very used to going 5-0 or 6-0 or 7-0 to begin the season and get my hopes up and think that something's going to be different. Like I think that we probably have the most complete team that we've had in somewhat of a more dynamic offense with our new offensive coordinator. But really what's been the problem this year is we're only playing one half of football for the most part, in my opinion, and that seems to be the second half. And you don't go play a good first half of football versus an Ohio State, you're going to dig yourself a hole that you can't dig yourself out of. And that's almost exactly what happened with USC. Like, I knew that USC was going to be a trap game. They're coming off a loss in a game that they're not supposed to lose. They realistically are a few plays away from being a top 25 football team, if not a top 15 football team.
A couple tackles
Yeah.
specifically too. Yeah.
And so you mix that in. I knew that was going to be a trap game. I'm glad that the team faced some adversity and came back from being down by 14 to come and win in overtime that game, which I think might help.
It's
But
something
really,
I haven't seen from old Rich before, so that was exciting. Yeah, it was very nice.
yeah, but I think this week's a trap too. You don't come out firing on all cylinders going into Camp Randall at a primetime game versus Wisconsin, who's a good football team, and you can very easily walk out
They
of
just
there
smoked,
with an L.
They just smoked Rutgers.
It's not of that Alabama football game, like the one
they
half
lost
of
their
that
starting-
Alabama
they-
game.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
Wisconsin
lo-
played pretty well this season.
They lost their starting quarterback, and that was pretty
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, I would love to see Penn State go at home against Ohio State this year. I believe they're out in Happy Valley this year.
They are. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I don't care who you are. That is one of the greatest atmospheres in sports, if not the best in the Big Ten. Outside of when Iowa has a night game and they do the wave.
It is, but your media rights and deals have completely jacked up environments. That's a noon game now versus Ohio State because of Fox's
Always should be
big
a night.
noon. Yeah, but here's also the other question.
11 a.m. What? I can't.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't put that shit just on Peacock. Put it on Peacock.
I mean, but here's your bigger question: are you better losing one game in the Big Ten and not playing in a conference championship and getting a at-large bid to the playoff,
Yeah.
and you have a home playoff game?
I mean, looking at Penn State's schedule to be.
Oh, Penn State's a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean,
but where are they going to end up? I guess is the question.
Even with like absolute worst case scenario, a terrible loss. I don't think there is a terrible loss anymore. Alabama loses to Vanderbilt, and before they go and lose to Tennessee, everyone's okay, whatever.
Didn't
still
Alabama only drop to 6 or 5?
Yeah, they still got that. But that's the playoff picture today, and teams, not this year, but teams like, it's going to help teams like Michigan when Ohio State's dominating, or Penn State when, God, Penn State would have been what, I think in the playoffs 5 out of the last 8 years, I think it was, or
Yeah, something like that.
5 out of the last 7. It's crazy. How do you feel about the 12-team playoff as another college football fan?
I honestly love it. I think 4 is too little. Like there's no room for error at that point. Like you lose one game and you're potentially out of the playoff based off who you lost to. I think it creates a much more competitive and entertaining environment in December. And I think you see these days a lot of college football players, oh, we're playing in Mama's Cookies Bowl. Like I'm not playing. Or like I'm in the transfer portal right out of the gate after the last game of the season. I think it puts meaningful games in that December, January timeframe that people are more inclined to play in at that point. So one, I think it's good for the sport. Two, I think that it's good for fans across the country of college football. 12 teams or not, you'll always have someone at number 13 or 14 bitching like that they didn't get in or feel like they should have got in. But that's just the nature of the game. But who the hell is going to want to go and play against Penn State in Beaver Stadium in December in Happy Valley in the snow?
That's something.
With whiteout.
Yeah, that's something here on the show we've talked about, even with our other couple other buddies that join us on Sundays or Tuesdays now. It's something we've always talked about as Big Ten fans, is like just the perfect everyday weather the SEC plays in, and a stadium we became very excited to see in December and January now is Penn State, because Penn State, as we've discussed and you've mentioned now also, Penn State's been that team where like the 12-team playoff is almost picture perfect for Penn State. So, or teams like Penn State, and soon hopefully back to Michigan. Regardless, I'm still really hurt about this season, man.
I can tell you're a little hurt about it.
Yeah,
it's killing me. But okay, so quality life question about food.
Yep.
So, growing up in the UP, I didn't really experience what I like to call life until I joined the military and left the woods. So what was some of your favorite meals growing up? What was that? And then what was that marquee meal that you remember from your childhood? Something that you had every weekend, or something that would be special, a monthly event, something along those lines.
There's a lot of meals that I think of growing up. We had Little Caesars way too often, so there's no way I could touch Little Caesars these days. Dad didn't know how to cook, so hot dogs and mac and cheese was one that took place very commonly. But honestly, at a pretty young age, I took a loving to sushi. And so sushi's a
Really?
staple in my life as far as cuisine is concerned. But you hand me a meat lover's pizza, and I'm good any day of the week.
Oh
There
man.
you go.
Dude, we'd all fit in a room really well. Macaroni and hot dogs is a delicacy to me, man.
It is.
Apparently, I just found out the internet thinks that's terrible, and I had no idea. They
Probably
felt
terrible
so
for you, yeah.
strongly about chopped up hot dogs and macaroni and cheese.
Something different. I don't know that I would pull that out of the cupboard these days, but that was a staple growing up.
Yeah.
Fruit Loops for me, I still love cereal, but like Fruit Loops for me as a kid, like I had so many Fruit Loops growing up. I can't Fruit Loop anymore. I can't Fruit Loop anymore.
Yeah.
What about you, Patrick?
I don't know. I had a question. So we were
Yeah.
talking about your personal life outside of this. When I found you on Instagram and I was going through the reels, I'm like, this is the real guy. Like this guy has a life outside of just being the guy that trolled USC. And I was like,
You'll
very
all remember
successful
forever.
career as well. Would you like to shout out any personal ventures or avenues out there, all the fans and the listeners?
Yeah, so ever since school, I got right into the real estate industry here in the Silicon Valley, which is obviously one of the most expensive places to live in the country. You get a single family home that's falling to shreds for $1 million here, which is absolutely crazy. But over the last decade doing that, I've worked my way into the top 1% of realtors across the entire country, and we sell about
Holy spit!
sell over $100 million of real estate every year for the last 4 or 5 years individually. So keeps me busy, but it's definitely a meaningful career, being a part of what for most people ends up being their biggest asset and being on that journey with them.
Oh,
That's so
congratulations.
Wow, dude, congratulations, man. That's phenomenal. I'm so happy for you. You and your family. That's fantastic. You said you were a fourth generation Penn State
Yeah, so
alum as well.
my great grandpa, my grandpa, my dad, my uncle all went to Penn State. I mean, it was definitely tempting when that time came to say, screw it, I'm going to go hang out on the sunny beaches of San Diego and
Yeah.
enjoy college life. And instead, I'm pretty sure that everybody knew I was from California the first day that it snowed because I had big snow pants on and a snow jacket, and everybody else is in jeans and their Timberlands.
Yeah, I just got my flannels out. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
no.
that's so awesome, and in the valley at that, dude. That's what an accomplishment, dude. And the sky's the limit for you. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, we just got to find some more tunnels to run out of.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, dude. Yeah, I seriously, like I said somewhere towards the beginning of the show, I really do hope that what you've created something, right? Because the fucking internet took Tide Pods and went to town with it, right? Like, why can't we do this and go to town with it? That would be so much better.
Yeah,
It'd be so much better.
no doubt.
Patrick, did you have anything else? Man, I'm so happy for you. That is an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, appreciate you coming on, Jordan, and I absolutely love everything that you've done, the trolling to the success that you've had as being a realtor, to your story in general and everything that you brought to the table today. Charles and I absolutely love it 100%. These are the stories that we love hearing and that we love expressing and sending out to the people that listen to our show.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, of course, gentlemen. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Hopefully, we see our Penn State boys in the Natty in a couple months.
There you go. We are Penn State.
We are, yeah,
We
at this
are.
point, we sure as shit ain't Michigan.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we know that's conclusive at this point.
That ship sailed a long time ago. We're good.
I'm still dreaming about the past at this point. And hey, listen, when the show grabs, because at some point, I guess shows like this have to find spaces in California. So when it comes down to it, we're going to get a hold of you. We're going to come visit the Valley.
Hey, sounds
So-
good. You know how to get a hold of me.
Absolutely.
You're pretty easy to get a hold of. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You
Too.
too.